Now, we're still going through the book from the founding of the city by Titus Livius or Livy. The book is also often called History of Rome. Now, we're still in the early days of the city. The Romulus has gotten rid of his brother. He has set up laws to be followed. They have started building a society, basically. But then the new city is facing an existential threat. It is, and it's a huge threat, in fact. And Romulus realized that if he couldn't fix that problem, the city was not going to survive very long. It was going to just die, maybe in a generation to be done. And the problem was the majority of the dwellers of the city were men. Overwhelming majority were men. And there were very few women. And I think this is because the city was founded by shepherds who happened to be men mostly. And most of them, it looks like, were single, were never married, or were not married. So there is this city they have founded. They have huge plans for it. But then they are facing this problem of not having women. And the problem is made even worse by the fact that it looks like there was, in that ancient time in that part of the world, there was this arrangement that for women to be married to another city or dominion, there needed to be an agreement between the governments of the two. So what Romulus does, and Livius tells us that it was on the advice of the Senate, is to appoint envoys, or embassy, you can call it, or people to send messengers, basically. Not really messengers. Envoys are these people who will go and negotiate on behalf of the state. So these envoys go to the neighboring nations, to the neighboring cities, and they were trying to persuade them to allow them to marry their women. And every city they went to, or dominion, they try to explain that we are a small city, but we have huge plans and we have big potential. And if you allow us to have this intermarrying treaty with you people, you are going to benefit over the long term. And every city or town or dominion they went to, they were told no. And Lydia tells us the reason they were being told no, all these towns, even including the one where Romulus originally came from, which was led by their own grandfather, Nometon, they were uncomfortable with the new city around their neighborhood, and they didn't want to support it, so it grows and then it threatens their own security. So they told them, no, we are not going to allow you to sign a treaty with us so that you can marry our women. That's not going to happen. So these people moved around and they came back home empty-handed. Now, Romulus was, Livius tells us he was very angry, but he decided to control his anger, and he comes up with a plan. And this is how the plan goes. He organizes a huge game, kind of like a festival, a huge game or sport. And he says it is in honor of God, of the gods, in particular Neptune. So he calls it Consualia. I hope I'm pronouncing it the right way. So he organized this huge game. They put in everything they had in terms of resources. They wanted it to be so remarkable. They wanted it to be something big, interesting. And they sent invitation to all the neighboring cities. They tell them, we have this big event we are organizing, and it's in honor of God Neptune, and you people are invited. It's going to be fun. And on the day, people came from all over the place. People came from, Livius tells us, from Cainina, Crustuminium, Antemnae, Sabine. All these people came, and they came with their families because this was going to be a fun event, and it's a kind of like spiritual, religious event. All these people came with their families. They're coming to watch this game and sports and everything. And in fact, it was, Livius tells us that the Romans had made it. It was indeed a major event, and it was so interesting. So people come in, they are entertained, they are happy. But in the middle of this event, the young men of Rome attack. And they attack when these other people least expect it. They didn't expect that to happen. One, because they were invited to this event. Two, because they knew that it was the custom of them that when you do something in honor of a god, you wouldn't do anything fishy. So they were so comfortable. But Romulus decides to go against this custom. His men attack, and they take away every young woman they could see on sight. And they take them by force, and the people in attendance are horrified, and they escape, they run. Romulus was not interested in hurting them. He just wanted to take away the women. So he takes away the women, and then later on, those women are distributed to the men in the town. The most beautiful, according to Livy, are given to the senators. And then Romulus, of course, the other people leave and they charge them. They charge the Romans with the crime of violating hospitality, which is something that was not supposed to happen in that part of the world during that time. So Romulus, when these guests have left, of course, they've taken their girls. He goes around talking to these girls, and he tells them that he explains to them why they had to do that, and he tells them that it was the pride of their parents that made it happen. That's how Livius describes what Romulus said to these young girls, or these girls. He also promises them that they were going to be co-partners in the possession of Rome. And in fact, he said they were going to have equal citizenship. He also commanded the men to consult their new wives, because their new wives had lost their families who had left. And he also told them to treat them with kindness. And with that, the future of Rome was secured.